LearnBiz LLC is an entrepreneur coaching agency which customizes solutions to help businesses grow and thrive in an ever-changing economy.
You are listening to LearnBiz, the podcast, where we share an entrepreneur's journey and allow you to obtain insight into their path to success. We're here to educate other entrepreneurs about the ins and outs of running a small business, and we will provide you with tips and resources that can help you along your entrepreneurial journey.
Music selection, Midnight Silhouette by Devon, Wright.
Thanks for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.
Hi, Harry. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. And yourself, Lisa?
Good, good. Thank you so much for joining us on LearnBiz, the podcast.
My pleasure.
And to get started, Harry, we'd like to know more about you as an entrepreneur. So tell us, who are you?
Who I am. That's a very loaded question. I could spend all night talking to you about who I am and what I do. So to narrow it down, I can tell you that I am a young man from Miami, specifically Liberty City. And being from Liberty City, I saw early on the need for me to transcend where I was and to get and obtain more. So that alone pushed me into being a businessman, being a business person. So in short, I'm somebody who constantly tries to reinvent himself and push for more.
I love that. I love that. That's great. And it sounds like that development started a long time ago.
Yeah, it did. My grandfather worked for MacArthur Dairy, but on the side, he was also a porter. So he would go to many businesses and, clean up after work. And so seeing the balance between, working for somebody else and, having a side hustle, I said, if I could marry the idea and just be the person who I work for and hustle that, I probably get a little bit more happiness. And that's what I found thus far. And
so that kind of vision that you had, it led you to what in terms of business as an entrepreneur?
The Bad Ape LLC centers on a lot of brand building and brand consultation. So many times I speak with individuals about how to grow their brand. What is a brand? How do you market? What is marketing? What is advertising? How do you distinguish yourself from other brands? So, and not in whole, but in a good pertinent part, a lot of my business is actually helping other businesses find out what they truly in the business of. So I'll start by saying that.
So when you say branding, so is it marketing? What you're doing, you're helping other businesses market their businesses?
No, brand development in whole. And a part of brand development is even understanding what marketing is, because a lot of people confuse the two. One is an emotion, the other is how to get others to feel that emotion. I've learned to help others with that aspect of their business, because oftentimes they're not selling or they're not reaching their target market because they're not speaking their language.
I love what you're saying.
I
love what you're saying because it seems like to me that I was almost about ready to get mixed up branding and marketing, thinking they're synonymous, and they're not, right?
Oh, no, not at all. So, right, if you think of a company like Disney, without saying it, just hearing Disney, it gives certain images, right? Certain thoughts and ideas to people of all ages. That emotion, that's the brand. The steps that Disney, the corporation, takes to get you to have that emotion, that's the marketing, the strategy that's used, whether it's product placement, whether it's repetition or conservation of design, familiarity of character, or just how friendly the customer service is at every Disney park. It's a part of that warmth you feel just from hearing the word, right? So that's branding. Getting that to you, that's the marketing, right? So helping businesses understand, there's certain colors you're going to need if you're trying to appeal to this demographic. There's certain words and phrases, and even how you style your web page, carry yourself, how you package your product, because people buy packaging. Buying itself is an emotional experience that we rationalize with logic afterwards, right? So helping the customer to get that emotion. So a lot of it centers on that.
Oh, I love that. I don't know why that feels like psychology to me, but it
Oh, it
sort of
is.
does.
It 100% is. It 100% is. Anything you have on, anything you will buy is not a choice you made yourself. The average consumer believes it is. It's something that has been conditioned or thrust upon you to present or project a certain look, feeling, or establishment, right? So anything we have is to help convey a certain message about us, about our personal brand. Well, that's the same way companies work.
That's very interesting. So what is your vehicle for helping businesses to brand? How do you do that?
Well, oftentimes, I guess just from networking, I will have people who come into contact with me, such, meeting Sandy, in the position that I was at the time when I met her, encountering you, an exchange like this, an opportunity for me to kind of sell myself and kind of explain my brand. So whether it be through word of mouth, whether it be through I've advertised before or solicited, so to speak, but more so often it's word of mouth and just a common conversation with a person. For me, working in other industries, people know what I do. So it kind of is like, well, can you help me? Well, sure. Well, this is what the steps we need to take. Something like that.
And how'd you get this name, the Bad Ape LLC? How did that come about?
Oh, you know what? True story. In the movie War, I think it was War for the Planet of the Apes, there was an ape and his name was Bad Ape. And he spoke in the way he spoke. I love the way he said his name, Bad Ape. So I was like, you know what? I like that name for the company. And I think you're probably the first person I've ever said this to out loud. That's actually where it came from, was from a movie.
Really? So, but does it have any other meaning besides the fact that you like the name, or is it just the name that you really love?
Well, no, I mean, yeah, I'm an alpha, and a lot of people associate alphas with the ape. So I mean, it helps in that regard because a lot of business I do is with or amongst other of my fraternity brothers.
Mm-hmm.
But so I guess that may have been like the light bulb moment where it was like, you know what, that kind of works for me all the way around. So that stuck, and it's been doing well thus far.
It is definitely memorable. It's not a name you can easily forget.
And that's it, because it sounds strong, but if you hear my voice, it's a much louder sounding voice. So it helps kind of project and present the necessary elements.
Totally agree with you there. So tell me about a typical client, and at the end of it all, tell me how you were able to help them. If you have a typical client you help, I don't know, but I just want to know what it's like to come to the Bad Ape LLC and be helped. And then at the end of it all, what do I walk away with?
The typical client I get is someone who is trying to grow their brand on social media. The average call I get goes something like, hey, I've tried to do this video. I saw it done on TikTok. I used the song. I even copied the hashtags word for word. Why am I not trending, or why am I not like going viral like the other person? How come I only have, a couple of likes or shares, right? That's the average call I get.
So people are concerned that their marketing is not working out there. And so when they come to you, what do you do to fix that?
Well, my first thing I do is pull them, I center on, is the video you're trying to replicate or reproduce even synonymous or remotely close to your brand, right? Is it something that your target audience and your followers, or even your non-followers who happen to go on your page but don't follow you, will they say, this is so like brand A? Or is it like, what is this? Okay, that's the first thing. Two, is what you're trying to do true to you? It works, especially for someone who's trying to grow their business online, if they're true and honest with who they are and what they are. Because honesty will always translate over the screen. If you're pretending to be this thing, if you're, saying words and doing actions that are so far not you, the level of believability necessary to capture and engage your audience is so nil to you wasted your time.
Right.
Some people have gone from 0 to 100 real quick, as they say, just by being themselves, by speaking and sharing their regular, ordinary day. So a lot of times I provide not some, but mostly all of the people who come to me for consultation a calendar for posting and their stories, and the calendar for posting on their page, which lets them see that here's some natural things you can do this day. Try this day. If this is going on in the news, give it from your point of view, but make sure it's tailored to your brand. So it's a bit more guidance than just kind of shooting in the wind and hoping what works. A lot of times people kind of just shoot in the wind with their brand. Like, I saw these guys doing this on TikTok. So if I do that on TikTok, they got 1 million views. I can at least get 10,000. No, because that person may do that all day and that's what they're known for. You're not known for that. So if you're going to copy something, which is okay, copy something that's more centered on your brand. You know what I'm saying? So giving that kind of guidance and instruction.
So do I get this right then? So mainly you're consulting with these businesses to be able to help them with their branding and redirecting and re-guiding them. So it really boils down to consultation, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So if someone needs some production work, do you connect them with the vendors and things like that? Or how does that part work?
Well, it depends. If it's something I can handle in-house, we can handle it in-house. Some graphic design, I'm proficient in certain coding language. I can code certain sites and things for you of that nature. If it goes beyond my wheelhouse, yes, I do have a host of vendors who I can connect others with. Because again, I would say 80 to 90% of how I engage anyone is through networking. So in networking, I do kind of build a roster, so to speak,
Gotcha. That's really nice to know. So why did you pick this business? Did we talk about that? I don't think so.
No. And that's fine. I think kind of like with being online, you will be successful and thrive at who you are naturally, not what anyone has conditioned you to be, or what someone is projecting on you. I learned who I was and what I did exceptionally well, which was understanding people from an emotional perspective, not just through mere intellect, right? So just that alone told me I needed to be selling something. I needed to be a salesman. So when I don't have a product and I don't have a service, as legal as possible, I sell who I am, right? So I realized no matter what a person takes from me, no matter what is regulated or what shuts down, what you can't take away is my ability to be me. So when I saw that who I was beneficial to others and that was a great currency to me, I said, okay, well, let me start consulting others, because I had already been running a business underneath the brand. And it was doing well, and people were asking me, okay, so how are you getting this done? How are you doing that? And a lot of times we think the things we're doing are just so simple. Of course, everybody knows. And I started realizing, oh, you didn't know this? Well, I can show you. And I realized, well, what I'm showing them was rather lucrative for them and not of profit to me. So I began to monetize that. Now it's I'll show you, but at this cost, right?
What is one of the businesses up under your brand?
One of the most recent ventures would be our illustrious brand, which is illsense.com. It is a brand centered on what I consider to be a very untapped market. I would say middle-aged Black woman crowd, a demographic to be specific.
Okay.
It is HBCU and Black excellence base. So when you go to the site, you're going to see paraphernalia and other such items and garments and pins that, speak to the HBCU experience and Black excellence experience. Right now, a lot of things that are out may just be t-shirts. Here, we're offering sweatshirts. We're offering well-crafted pens. You know, they have crystals and all the other kind of things. So it was just a vehicle by which to, you know, feed a market that already exists. To me, if I can get as niche as possible and serve that
Mm-hmm.
market, I'd rather have a market with their hands out than have a product I'm begging people to take, right? So I saw that there was
Absolutely.
space in the market. So seeing that there was space in the market, I saw that there was a demand. I saw all these women taking trips and them having all this money to spend. And I said, okay, if they have so much money to spend, let me get some of it. So I started offering products, and as they sold and business grows and it grows and it grows, I just continue to spread the message on that.
Awesome. I mean, sounds like you have a really good instinct for tapping in to the right opportunities. Let me ask you about the shutdown during the pandemic. Did it affect you in any way, or is your business just mainly online such that you weren't really affected? How did it play out for you?
Um, this is going to sound horrible. The pandemic was one of the best things that happens to me from a business perspective. See,
Tell me about
a
that.
part of what a part of what I did, going back to consultation. So now we're in the pandemic and people are losing their jobs. The first thing that they're doing is trying to figure out, well, how can I make some money for myself? How can I sell my product? How do I set up a website? I want to go viral. So I guess as people were staying home, they were trying to make use of their home office. And so I was able to give guidance in that aspect. From an apparel perspective, I already had perceived early on in January, February time that despite what was being announced, we're going to be
Mm-hmm.
heading towards a shutdown. So even then, I began ordering in excess of certain supplies and goods and things that I would actually then resell back to the community. You know, I can tell
Now,
you
when
on
you
a
say
good week.
such as what, Harry? When you say goods and supplies, you anticipated certain
Anything
things like the
from
mask.
mask, both cloth N95, hand sanitizer. Um, I mean, all, gallons of hand sanitizer. I can tell you
Mm-hmm.
anywhere in a good week, I shipped over 5,000 masks on average a week. That was nothing. Was contracting with hospitals, you know. So, you know, here's the reality: when there's devastation, unfortunately, somebody profits off of it.
You don't feel bad about that, do you?
No, there's nothing about me that feels bad about it because I'm able
Yeah.
to then infuse those dollars right back into the same community.
So let me ask you this next question. You are a well-rounded entrepreneur, no doubt. You obviously know how to shift and change depending on what the times and circumstances are. So if someone wants to be a well-rounded entrepreneur like you, what tips and advice would you give a young person listening to this podcast?
What advice would I give? And this advice is shocking, but it's so real. First of all, you got to forgive your parents. A lot of people do not grow as people, and certainly not in business, because they have yet to forgive their parents for whatever. A lot of times people are angry with their folks for whatever reason. They don't like the condition that they were raised in. How come my friends have and I don't have? And how come you're not this and I want that? Assume they did the best that they could. You know what I mean? Assume they did the
Okay.
best they could and move on from that point. Don't waste life hating people. You know, that's the first thing. Secondly,
Okay.
under, understand that whomever raised you based on their limitations, not based on your capabilities. Right? So I know for me, my mother, you know, she is not great at math at all. So she would never think about being an accountant. But if I know I love numbers, she can't keep telling me every day I should just be a nurse. I love numbers so much, right? So I don't worry about how others try to limit me. Because if you're going to be an entrepreneur, every day of your life has to be someone saying this can't be done because your whole job is to prove people wrong that it can be done.
I like
So
that.
if you don't learn early on to ignore others' limitations, because people only speak to you from the ambit of their limitations. They can't speak to you anything greater, anything less, other than how they're limited.
Is that the same thing as saying get outside the box? Or think
Um,
outside the box or live outside the box?
well, this ignores the idea of a box altogether. Because the whole issue is someone will tell you that there's even a box to be in, right? So I ignore that there's any box whatsoever. That's what I would say.
I
And
like
if you can
that.
do those, things, and more importantly, and this is something that a lot of people don't want to hear, but I have to say it since I'm going to be broadcasted anyway. It's very simple. The idea that you do what you love to do, but no, that you have to be passionate about what you do, is so far removed from truth whatsoever. I have learned to do what I am good at, so that way I can have my free time for what I'm passionate about. You get what I'm saying? So I don't have an employee mindset where I'm thinking about what can I, and that's how I knew that I couldn't work for anybody, because I could not find a single thing that I want to do for 40 hours to benefit somebody else outside of me that would make me so happy. But what I did realize is I can talk real well, and I can sell that, and I can enjoy my time off. So that's what I did.
Wait, but Harry, you're not opposed to people having both kind of fused into one, right? Your work and your passion is all one. I mean, that could be a very good formula, it seems like.
That's a very fortunate person who can do that. And that's few and far in between. I think people are conditioned to be passionate about their work because they're never given the opportunity for anything outside of work. Because the moment that person achieves a certain level of wealth, now ask that person, will you still do that thing that you were doing, but now you'll do it for free? If they say yes, then I can say, yes, I agree. But if not, whatever you were doing, if money were no issue, is what you're truly passionate about. So if you could find the marriage between passion and income, I'm behind that. But if you ask me about entrepreneurship, then I can't be, because that's something different. Because you'll always have your foot towards a possible no instead of what's possible, because you have to think differently as a full-on entrepreneur. Every day I go out and take a risk that I'm going to hear a no, that I'm going to fail. And I have to be passionate about that. That's just what I live by and what works for me. Absolutely. If you read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he uses the same concept.
Okay.
Same concept.
And that is just to be, just repeat that Rich Dad, Poor Dad concept.
Do what you are good at, what you do exceedingly well, and that the world needs to make your money. You may not be passionate about it, but if you do it real when everybody needs and you make your money, then that gives you your time. Remember, because wealth is about time, not about money, right? So if we're talking about having time, you're not going to have, would you rather be, if you were a teacher, would you rather be teaching other kids all day, every day? Or if you had the time, teach your own kids and travel with them around the world and you teach them lessons you have. You're still teaching what you're passionate about, but now you can do it in the way you want to, right? So it's like that.
I really
so it's
like
possible.
That.
You just got to see it all possibilities.
All right. So I think my final question for you is, who's your number one influencer today? Who do you look to?
I would say there's a brother out of Miami named Irvin Daphnis, attorney Irvin Daphnis. He is one of the most motivational guys I've ever known. Great attorney, great businessman, great friend. He's a guy you can call on and kind of like just, kick ideas around, motivational, just, somebody else who understands that you got to keep fighting the fight every day. So I would say Irvin Daphnis would have to be him.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on today. Your words or wisdoms are pearls. So real gems. Thank you so much. I hope you'll come back again and share more with us, Harry, about your entrepreneurial experiences.
Thank you.
Music selection, Midnight Silhouette by Devon, Wright.
Thanks for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe.